Welcome back, everybody. I have a gentleman here. His name is Scott. He's the man. He's created this really unique business in a space that's wide open in 2025. I mean, I'm looking in the room and there's no one standing in the room except for Scott. So I'm going to introduce this gentleman. He comes all the way from California, has moved down into Florida. He's very interesting. He's very jacked, very healthy, and that's something we like around here. Scott, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself and tell us what you're about.
Thanks, Clinton. So my name is Scott Fielder, and I'm a creator. So I've been a software engineer since I was 18, so dating myself for many decades at this point. And, over the past decade, I've really been focused on building platforms. And so about 2.5 years ago, with AI starting to come onto the scene, the focus at first was really reluctant, right, to start jumping in and, hey, is this thing real, right? Is it really something that we can actually use in a business context? And so being the skeptic, I had a good business partner and also co-investor in some other startups call up and say basically, hey, we're building deep fakes using AI for the Department of Homeland Security, and you should really take a look at this technology and get off your high horse and actually just dig into this. So I did, and over the course of 2 weeks, the old man got his hands dirty once again, and really figured out that, okay, cool, I could use it. Now, what are we going to use it for?
Right.
So right off the bat, it was, hey, what have we done for 20 years? Well, we've actually been software engineers. So could we possibly use AI to build an autonomous coding agent, right? So that was really like, hey, cool, this thing works. We're going to jump into this. And from there, we obviously have had a great journey of building Cody.AI.
Right.
And obviously here to talk more about it with you.
Interesting that you say that, as I have a master's degree in software engineering and doctoral level work that I'll never finish, of course, but that's just a pain. But yeah, I know the feeling when you get off of it and you're older, you don't want to make change with the new times. And I just recently started getting into AI, and I'm actually very impressed. And it takes a lot to impress me. It saves a lot of time in a lot of different ways when it's done correctly.
Yeah.
And I know that AI for sure is going to put a lot of people out of business, and that's just the way the world works.
Yeah, I mean, I think to a degree, and I think it's your choice whether it's going to take you out or not.
Right.
The times that we're in now, right? I liken it back to the late 90s, right? You were in San Diego, I was in San Diego right at that time. And, going to school, I was reading technology books that were like 6 or 8 inches thick, and that time was really the onset of web technologies and the delivery of a new paradigm for us, right, in computing, which was building websites, building apps, and kind of starting down the path of where we are today.
Right.
I would tell you that over the past couple of years, with large language models developing and where we are now with the frameworks and the tools that we can now use to take those large language models into business, whether it's marketing or sales or finance, whatever it is, and build really solid AI agents using these tool sets.
Oh yeah,
it's a wild shift, an absolute wild shift.
It's the craziest times, and I think it forces evolution. We've been comfortable for so long being the expert of knowledge, but now any person at any moment can just query anything. And you get access to basically all the known knowledge that humanity has access to. And that's a little scary for me.
It is, but then you take it a step further, which is what we're doing. And that is, great, you can ask something of the large language model, content creation, whatever it might be, and then actually taking action on it, which is really wild.
Yeah.
So think about that. So instead of me just sitting in front of OpenAI or Claude or whatever it is and typing in and asking it to just spit stuff out, well, it'll actually do stuff based on what I tell it to do.
Oh no, it's all automation.
Yeah.
And it's only getting better. I've seen some stuff where I honestly believe in the moment we've seen the end of influence. For the most part, the influencers that get paid to do ads and certain things, they're just going to model themselves and run those 24/7. And the moment you start creating scripts and you start shoving it into AI, you can start testing it on TikTok all day long, 24/7. It never gets tired. And just tell it, hey, the top 10% of these range posts, repost everywhere else. And it's going to be crazy.
So it's already happening, right? Like we have a customer, they're an agency, they work TikTok shops, right? So people who are producing videos for products, trying to find really, successful videos. So they're going out doing all the analysis, using data integration, creating VSL scripts, and then sending it to an AI avatar. And Cody orchestrates that entire process to create literally videos on the fly so that they can post and be competitive to other TikTok shops.
Oh, that's crazy.
Gnarly.
That's
right?
It's
like never again is someone, I mean, again, yes, we're sitting in studio here, but like the idea is if you have your AI avatar, the agent essentially is orchestrating all of these things just like a human would.
Yeah, no, it's unparalleled. It's unparalleled. And
It
it's
is.
never hungry. There's no labor laws.
No.
There's nothing. It just goes.
Well, and that's why we started out with software engineering, right? Like having a big bill every single month building software, right? And not getting what you need in order to sell customers or to just complete features and functionality and platforms. That was tough for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hey, we finally figured out that we could use AI in a real way. And it was just like, okay, we're going to start downsizing and we're going to start investing more capital here. And that's what we did.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And I've seen some of the stuff. Some of the times I'm having conversations, I can tell it's AI, but barely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've had conversations with AI and they're passing the Turing test, you know, to where I can't tell. And it's just, it's nuts. Yeah. It's very nuts. So where do you kind of see this industry going? I know you have your agents are kind of moving, they're evolving real time as you see a need, they start to create one. Where is it that you see the biggest opportunity for you?
So for me, so one of the things that we found out with Cody early on is, so we tried to enter the market as an autonomous coding agent, right?
Right.
Being a tech nerd, I wanted to provide that for my fellow tech nerds and being able to essentially deliver an agent that would take natural language in an enterprise setting for building software and produce 100% perfect production-ready code comments, et cetera, in the standard workflow that a normal human would actually do if they were coding.
Right.
What we came to find out is that we had built this total agentic AI platform where now we can host any agent, right? And so for us, it's the ability to host and deploy and scale any agent, right?
Okay.
So our customers are now coming to us saying, hey, here's a great idea in my industry where I have expertise, I have a niche, I have know-how that nobody else does. They are building an agent that is essentially an extension of them.
Right.
It's their expertise. It is their specific, you know, the way that they've operated differently than everybody else and their competitive advantage. And they're putting that into an agent now that is working on their behalf day and night.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Multiply those things.
Big time. Big time.
I think that's the next level. And I look forward to integrating those things into my world as well, just to make it easier, because I can clearly see the indications of human waste, not waste from, you know, we're going to flush, but like the wasteful labor that I could translate over into the machine language and it excel, make less mistakes, go longer, and just get the job done more efficiently. And I'm sure there's a place for the people in other areas of my business, but
there are, right? And I'm glad you bring that up, right? Because what I don't want to project is the fact that humans go away, right? Like humanity in and of itself is a critical piece to actually having these AI agents work properly.
Right.
And I think the biggest one is accountability. If there isn't accountability over what the large language model and these agents are actually producing, then it's just a waste anyway.
Right.
So there's always someone who has to be controlling it. And what I've likened it to back when we were, you know, using this simply just as a coding agent is that my expert engineers, like they level up. Like no longer are they first hands to keyboard, but they're moving to another layer of accountability.
Yeah, they're the QA, the final touch, if you will. I mean, I don't believe certain things will swing a hard one direction as the cuts start to flow through into efficiencies gain, but then we'll swing right back because the thing that we'll be missing is that human touch, that variable where you don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
That'll be the icing on the cake. Yeah. That really will. And I don't think a machine they're not there yet.
No.
At least for a while.
3 years.
It's scary.
I mean, again, it's going to be a wild shift, right?
It is. It really is. And if you're not introducing this now, you're behind the time. You're already behind the times as a business. It's true. And that much is very clear. Now let's shift it a little bit outside of Cody. So most of the people here don't really know anything about you. They don't know where you come from, what you do. So we know a little bit. So tell me kind of your transition. How did you grow up? Like, and where?
Yeah. So I actually grew up in Southern California. near the beach. So pretty much anytime you'd find me, I'd be sandy and salty. Surfing is what I did growing up. Ended up going to San Diego State and doing the same thing.
Perfect.
Yeah. So got into technology right around 98.
Okay.
So I was working for a stockbroker in La Jolla, and we were managing portfolios for guys who were just astronauts at that point. And I was looking at this going, okay, what industries are they in?
Right.
Technology.
Tech always.
Yeah. And I was
Energy.
like, cool. So that might be an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah. That's how I chose my careers. I was a little bit smart, a little geeky. I said, hey, what makes the most amount of money that doesn't deal with healthcare? Because I don't really no interest in that. And it was tech. So that's what I did. I got into tech.
Yep.
Now, where in San Diego exactly? And if I missed it, where in San Diego? And is it a two-parent house, one-parent house, brothers, sisters? Kind of the backstory of the family.
So parents, amazing. Like, so blessed to have parents. They are happily married. Just amazing people that, again, I'm thankful at this stage of my life to have great examples to look at, just a godly marriage and family. I have a brother who's younger and still lives in SoCal with his beautiful wife and his 3 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. It makes sense now because you find yourself in a similar situation as an adult. So the people you keep around you oftentimes determine the outcome that you'll.
That is true.
Your reality in the future.
It's true.
If you will. So be careful with the company you keep. And I was unfortunate enough to not have a really, really stable home, but I think I turned out all right. Those are the things that I like most is a stable home. And
right on.
And I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. Nothing crazy. My parents were both hippies, so nothing against that life out of SoCal.
Sure.
So they were into that life, and they just had residual energies from all that excitement and probably a few flashbacks from their LSD days. And I just couldn't do those things.
Well, again, grandparents back in the day, again, World War II, like alcoholism, big time in our family.
Right.
And I'm really thankful. Dad's been sober now for 35 years. And that for me was also a really big thing to look at, right? Because I think at this stage, 4 years, no alcohol, it's been transformational for my life.
Yeah, that's
in
good.
So many different ways, right? You want to get fit, you want to be that entrepreneur, you want to, love and serve your wife, you want to serve your kids. I have 4 kids.
Absolutely.
It's chaotic, right? And you got to be on your game. And
no, that's whew, boy, 4 kids. That's in itself is its own. That's a full-time effort. God bless your partner and yourself.
Yep, she is amazing.
Having to manage that. I have 2 that are relatively not grown, so below teenage years. So it's a pain.
Yeah,
it is a pain.
It can be, man.
It is great.
At this stage, the hair is where it is. The grays.
I don't have hair because my first one was a daughter. I'll just say that.
Okay. All right.
Cutest thing ever until teenage years, and you're just
oh, don't say that.
Where are they at? Why? How come? Who's these people? You're going through the phone, background check on the parents. You're no one's staying the night anywhere. Screw you.
Yeah.
And sure enough, every time they get their heart broke.
I get it. My youngest is a daughter, so I have 3 boys, and we're right at 13.
Okay.
And so it's changing with the boys, right? You're kind of seeing that whole dynamic shift, but she's still just a sweetheart.
Yeah, no, girls, at least in my experience, the girls, you have the greatest stress later in life. And then the boys, it's young. It's every time you turn around, a young child that's male under 5 years old is near death every 5 minutes. Whereas the girls are pretty passive, at least mine was. And then teenage years was just, boy, that's all I got to say about that.
Exciting.
It was rough, but you introduce the massive onslaught of the negative attention from the internet, bullying, how nasty young teenage children are, and then introduce intercourse and all that stuff with children, and it's just teenage children. It's just terrifying.
Well, I'll say this: I'm very thankful that again, Christ believer, follower, and just coming from that frame, technology obviously was fresh and new when we were teenagers or going into high school and college, right? And there's a lot of bad things, clearly, as you're stating, that you can get into. And being in the business of technology, right, I understand the game.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful at this point we've been able to avoid putting phones in our kids' hands. There's some restriction and tight restriction on phone usage, obviously with TV usage, et cetera, right?
Sure.
Not to be overbearing, but like there's just a lot of bad shit that's out there. And
Yeah.
like, if I can help create a healthy environment, obviously let God, work his way into their lives, and obviously have them focus more on maybe that than the addiction of social, which again is a tough thing.
Right. No, yeah. In the modern time with schools, I don't know if it's private or public. It doesn't matter. They're all on there.
Oh, everybody is.
And what I taught my children, and my son had a little bit of difficulty in school, and same with my daughter. And they just were bored, and they would do something. We'd be doing the homework. I was like, this is kind of dumb. What's the point? And we would just trash the homework and go do real stuff. We'd go do, I would show them how to research something, write their topics, look into it additionally, take multiple sources. Because one of the most important skills in the modern world is how to find information. Like if you have a problem, how do you search for a good vendor, a good service? How do you search something you're curious about online?
Sure.
That is an unparalleled skill that a lot of people don't have, or exercise at least. So we would do those things and write our own little report. And the teachers would get so mad. I was like, hey, this is dumb. It doesn't matter. It's like, is there anything you can do that's going to hold them back? They're like, no, we graduate no matter what forever. I was like, okay. I was like, we're going to go out and build something and go research it, online. And that's it. And whatever you're doing, that's great. I'm sorry that your scores are going to be lower, but fuck off. Kindly fuck off. And this is how we're going to do it, because as an adult, I don't do any of those things.
Yeah.
I go back to researching stuff online.
Yeah.
And my overall education, I probably use 5% of it realistically.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, you teach children how to learn, right?
Yep.
And the box that school puts people in these days, like sometimes you need it outside of the box, right? I live outside of that box, right? And I have done so for a lot of years, good, bad, or other, right? But it's been a blessing for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no. You said something earlier that I really appreciate, is that you've been sober for 4 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I myself have been sober for over 2.5 years. Not that I had a significant challenge with the substance, but I do feel dramatically better removing alcohol from my life.
Yeah.
There are moments I do miss the taste of certain drinks,
Sure.
but the way that it made me feel, I don't miss one bit, because I have really high level of clarity absent alcohol in my casual use.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned fitness. Just curious, were you an out of shape person, or always been kind of on the healthier side? Is this a transition that you've made recently? Tell me a little bit about that fitness journey.
I've been on both sides of the coin, right? So early on, played a lot of sports, very, very fit going into college. Then I met this beautiful girl and got married, and, let the pounds, pack on a bit. And, a lot too, like growing a career. Like I've been on an airplane for years, right? Going back and forth across this country. And it's just a lifestyle, right? And I didn't choose to add that to my lifestyle as part of like really, being successful in the corporate world.
Right.
And, the dinners and the drinking and the entertaining and all that nonsense, right? Like I did that for a decade plus. Okay. And that was, kind of a big problem when it came to overall health.
Yeah.
And, over the past, I think, 6 or 7 years, it's definitely been more of a focus, right? So getting into doing triathlons and, just generally moving my body in a much better way. Like that was kind of the beginnings of it. And now again, like I crave it, right? There's no way I can't get without, my steps or walking or just even food intake for that matter, right? It's just like you depend on it, and it's just a way of life now.
Now, with the food, what type of nutrition do you eat? I mean, what is your meal set roughly? For the audience, what are you doing on the day-to-day basis to maintain this level of health?
Lots of eggs, egg whites, lots of chicken, some rice. It's not wild and crazy, and it's nothing dramatic. Right. It's just consistency.
Now, is there any health reasons that you just eat that way, or is it a preference? Or are you just getting the most results from being high lean protein?
Yeah, I would say yes, right? I mean, I think it's finally understanding more of a macro-based approach, right? Where it's like, okay, I want to have this type of physique. I want to look and feel like this. there's clearly things that you do, inputs that you're going to put in to get the outputs.
Sure. Yeah. I notice when I eat, right now I'm on a cut, so I'm down 10 pounds. I gained 30 on my bulk, something like that. And then I'm cutting back down. So it's the same thing for me. I'm at 270 grams of protein, 40 grams or less of fat. And then my carbs, I cycle 100, 75, 50. And then on the fourth day, 0. And that's really effective at me. But what I noticed, and maybe other people experience this, when I remove most of the carbs, carbohydrates, and just focus on kind of maybe sweet potato, or just kind of stay relatively low on my carbohydrates and my timing, my mental clarity is extremely high. I was getting a lot of, I guess, insulin sensitivity and kind of lethargic when bulking, and that has gotten worse with age. It hasn't gotten better. So this is pretty much the only eating style I know that keep me super clear, probably for 14, 15-hour days. Is your experience with your eating style improved your mental clarity and sharpness? Like you're just ready to go longer and harder, or what's the impact there, if any?
I wouldn't say that it's something I think about often, right? I feel like, again, without alcohol or other substances, I definitely think the mental acuity is there, more so than it's been. But yeah, I mean, I think just a reasonable, portion of each one of those pieces, your proteins, your carbs, to me, it doesn't really have a huge impact.
Okay. Yeah. I know in the fasted state, I'm ready to kill everything. I'm like hyper awake. I'm hyper focused because I haven't eaten. I'm ready to go hunt for a rabbit or something. And that's just what it does. But there's no rabbits, so I don't. There's just the benefit of not having to go hunt for a rabbit, but being super clear in those fasted states, or mostly fasted. Now, have you run into any hormone related challenges as you've aged, and peptides or anything like that?
Absolutely. I have a great doctor, and again, you talk about energy, you talk about vitality, you talk about how do you keep up with 4 children, right?
I don't know how you do that.
And that's one of those things, man, where it's just like it's very, very difficult to do if your T levels are incredibly low.
Right.
And so very thankful for that. Again, you talk about fat loss, you talk about just your general system operating. Again, I highly recommend that for men. Yeah,
absolutely. You need to, in the modern world with science, and this isn't pseudoscience, no one's saying get out there and just be, a stage bodybuilder. What I'm merely suggesting is that as you age, your hormones are going to usually have an impact in the negative side of things, not positive. Go get your vitals checked by a doctor, get your blood work done. There could be a lot of vitamin deficiency and hormone deficiency where you can just optimize yourself and probably take you back to where you feel like you're 20.
Yeah. I would agree with that statement, right? That's kind of where I am. And I think one of the cool things about so the doctor that I have started out not just with, hey, dude, we're going to take your blood and we're going to put you on TRT and we're going to do the peptide thing and all that, which, again, we do. But he started out with this full process where, like, literally every body scan you can think of, he actually did. So it's like the cancer screenings, the, precursors to whatever it is that could develop over time, literally head to toe. And it's just like, if you don't get checked, if you don't have that level of clarity, like, you're never going to know. And you're always going to wonder in the back of your mind, right?
That's
where it starts. So, like, you start from that baseline of understanding where you are with your health, and then that gives you the ability to move forward.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just a simple deficiency in a priority compound in your body could really be catastrophic to how you feel and operate.
It can, but like, operating multiple businesses, having 4 children, having a beautiful wife, like I need to have my blood checked. Like I need to know, right, that like we're still doing the right thing here because there's a lot of people that depend on me to operate.
Yeah. I know the pressure of those kinds of things from time to time, and I like it. I pride myself in working myself to death, and that's horrible, but that's what I do well, is just go. I can work really long hours, and I've just, even in the coding aspect, I remember working on projects. I worked on a project for the railroad company, my first job, and we were doing something where we doubled the sensor speed. So it scanned the railroad and then did height data analysis with SICK cameras laser optic cameras, and then we modeled that in 3D space, and then could find missing components from the railroad track to determine a derail condition. And we doubled the speed of their capture, so they were doing, I think, 15 to 20 miles, and we got that thing up to about 50 miles, and then massively improved the imaging algorithm to where it could model and find like missing ties, big components, 10x or something crazy. And this is when maybe like a 1 terabyte hard drive was considered massive.
Yeah.
So that's how long ago this was. And we'd work all day. Yeah. 19, 20 hours, crazy hours trying to get this, do something that all the engineers were basically NASA engineers. There was one mathematician from the University of Texas at Austin, and then myself. I was me and him were the only non-doctorate people on staff, and that was my first job. It was one of the best jobs ever, but they didn't pay me dog shit. I was basically an intern, just getting slaved out, and it was one of the most rewarding jobs I ever had.
Right on.
Yeah, that was my first. But that stress can kill you, and it kills you. It can happen a lot faster than you would believe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so over the years, I've started to call it purposeful resistance. Because in order to get to ultimately where you want to go, like you're going to get a lot of that, right? Friction, whether it's knowledge, whether it's expertise. Again, like you just have to do the work, and that not always is it going to be easy. And physically, it's also very demanding as well.
Right.
Late hours, early mornings, airplanes.
It's it. It's it.
It's just how it is.
Nature of the beast. Now, what's your mileage looking like on your airplanes? I had to ask because I have an astronomical amount of United miles.
So not much anymore, and I'm thankful for that, right? COVID really did a great thing and changed the profile of how we actually sell and operate.
Okay.
So I'm very thankful for that because it was like I had highest status on, you name it, airline. Not really thankful for that. And I think that put a lot of stress on my family too, which was also a challenge. So very, very thankful for the lifestyle that I get a chance to live now.
No, that's crazy. I did, I think I was just shy of 800,000 miles or something crazy, and I would fly back and forth to Dubai. I think I did 30, 40 trips to Dubai for my employment with the defense industry. So it was kind of nuts.
That's a long haul.
Oh man, I spent years of my life in the Middle East flying back and forth, and I mean, it's different. You're flying business, so you get to sleep. So it wasn't horrible flying, but boy, when COVID hit and they shut down the flight, I knew right then that was kind of the beginning of I need to do different things because I had that high travel tempo, and I don't even like travel anymore. When someone says, let's take a trip, I kind of cringe because I'm just so burnt out from moving all over the planet. Just to be around all the people and just the way the airplanes are and smell, I'm just like, I'm kind of good in my house. I'm like, can we just go for a walk on the beach? That's where I'm at in life. I'm just like, fuck life. I'm like, I don't feel like traveling anymore. Maybe it'll swing back around.
I'm sure it will at some point.
But we'll find a place that we can love to travel to. Now, in your relationship, this is a big one. This is an area that I struggle in. And relationships, and it's all me. Ladies, calm down. I agree. You're right. I'm the problem. But how does a person that's successful, driven, fit, how do you figure out, how do you do it? How is that even possible?
You have to pray.
Pray.
Yeah. So quite honestly, like I love my wife. In fact, here we're celebrating being together for 29 years. So I met her high school. We started dating in high school, and like 29 years ago. Yeah. Right. So I mean, pretty remarkable, and I'm very, very thankful. She's absolutely amazing. But quite honestly, brother, like where I'm at now, like it has a lot to do with my faith and my relationship with Christ. Right. Like I love her, but like the reality is we are cats and dogs. We are different. Like He made us different. We operate differently. We think differently. We relate totally differently. And that's just been something that I've had to learn over decades of time. And it's not easy, and it's not always pleasant, but like she's the best thing in my life.
Right.
Period. And a lot of that has to come with, okay, like you're a fit guy, you do well, you have these businesses, like on the outside, like you have to let your ego go.
Right.
And that also has been one of the big things for me that's very difficult, right? Like, you know, I want to be the biggest at building software and I want to be this, that, and the other. Sometimes I just have to let the ego go and just love. And that's a very difficult place for a lot of guys to go.
No, it really is. And I can openly say is that I've ruined the best relationship in my life just by being me. And, you know, I got to work on that. And if praying can help me get that back, then maybe that's something I need to do.
And I'll tell you, like, we almost got divorced.
Yeah.
You know, this was a series of years ago. And, you know, by the grace of God, we are still together. Like, no joke. And that was a very difficult time. And a lot of it had to do with just my pride and my ego. And yeah, I mean, that just needed to be burned away.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to do.
Yeah,
but it is possible to do.
Yeah, no, I believe in it. I mean, I'm a hopeless romantic, but I've been through so much, done so many difficult things. I'm just a hard man. And then I'm infallible as well. And then some of the mistakes that I make are detrimental. And then you just dig in and you're like, well, there's the door, you know, and you know, and then they're like, oh, okay, walk through the door. And you're like, then you sit back an hour later, like, damn it, I just did that. And I just imploded my life for no real reason.
Well, and that's one of those things, man, where it's like, you know, you have to understand too, like, and this is one of the things that I have grown to really start to understand is like marriage is forever, right? That covenant is forever. And I didn't take that very seriously for a long time.
Right.
And there is so much blessing that has come out of the challenge and the struggle and the pain. And I think she would agree with me on that as well. And like, we are in a beautiful place, but it's just like a diamond being created, right? It takes a lot of pressure. And it takes a lot of heat, man. And like, that's one of those things on the other side, the diamond is possible. Yeah. Right.
Well, that's it. That's good to know. I mean, there's hope. I'll say this. Don't be the guy that sits back and ruins a relationship that could have been the one you married. That's probably a shitty place to be. And you got to live with yourself and just do better next time. That's all you can do, and learn from your mistakes. That's a gym for the masses right there. You don't want to be that old guy that's done a lot of shit and then you're all alone. I think life is always better with a greatly matched partner. It's just better to wake up like that.
Totally.
Even though my dogs are really cool, it's always better to wake up with a really good partner.
100%. 100%. I mean, my wife is incredible in the places that I'm not.
Right.
And vice versa. Like, there's such a great just yin and yang to how it all works. Yeah. And again, like, we both have our egos and we have like the places where we just need to let go. Yeah. And
it's a team.
100%.
It's a team. Yeah, and that's, I think, the important part that you said there that is probably hard to grasp for most men, because the ego is such an integral part of our personalities, is learn how to silence the ego when it's necessary, dealing with your female. Sure. Not saying that she wears the pants in the house, but know when maybe it is her turn to wear the pants for a moment, and kind of you silence your ego and just take your lumps.
Yeah, sometimes.
That's it. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any black eyes, so I didn't take any lumps, but you know. You weren't there earlier. Now, so that's really amazing. That's hard to do. Most people won't pull that off, and that's commitment. And I think that's what I see a lot of times in most successful people is they have a higher level of commitment to whatever it is that they put their mind to, whether it be business, fitness, relationships. They know how to take the L's and struggle, because just like every single journey, it's not roses, rainbows, and the fairy tale that you said I do too. It's going to be rough in ways you couldn't imagine. Yeah. And, you know, I think when we sit back, we're fortunate that everybody's healthy, and maybe we have a momentary discomfort, but we can get through it like we've gotten through all problems. As long as we have our health and our faith in each other, we can move forward in a way that is going to be amazing for both parties, I think.
Yeah. Look, I mean, in order to get anywhere, I mean, if you have aspiration,
sure,
you're going to be forged, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Forging is hot and it's painful. It's just what we sign up for, you know? And that looks and feels many different ways at times, right? But it is all part of the growth and the journey.
Well, it's just one of those things. It's life.
Yeah.
And it's not all paved highway, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. This makes it fun.
It does. It is fun. It's interesting. You look back and laugh at it. But boy, that was crazy. We got through that, but It's so much better on the other side of that wall that we climbed over.
Yep.
And here we are. Now, where do you see this going? You have kids that are approaching teenage years.
Yep.
Have you considered life absent the children in the house?
Yeah, actually, we talk about that often, right? Like we've got a lot of fun aspirations of living on a boat for extended periods of time and doing some traveling and all that stuff. So
is that boat, 100-foot yacht, or is it more a sailboat kind of person?
I don't know, brother. I mean, driving around here in Miami, like, again, we're a boating family, right? So we live on the water in St. Pete and just that is part of who we are, right? But you look at some of those pieces of equipment, like I don't need a whole crew. Like I want something I can get around, go to the Keys, go to the Bahamas, all of those things. But like 100 feet, if I need more than me to operate it, or the two of us, like that's a tall order, dude.
Yeah, that's a ship.
It is, bro.
That's not a boat.
That's a cruise line.
Some of these are cruise ships. I mean, they have captains and staff, and I got lost in them. I was on a boat. It was 103 feet, I think, something like that. Whatever the standard distance is, I think it's right around 100. But it was really common. I get seasick like crazy. I basically am traumatized from my first op on the water with, I think it was 15-foot swells or something in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And I saw footprints on the wall, and it never clicked that I saw it, and it didn't really register until we got off the water, and that's where people were walking. And I was the color green for days. Now, it was only 3 days, but when I got back, I swore, I was like, I don't want to get on a boat.
Never getting on a boat.
But the really nice ones have that gyro system.
Yeah, they do.
So you can't really feel the movement.
Yeah, those are sick.
It's really impressive.
Very much so.
Yeah, if I do boats in my future, it has to have one of those. And we're never going out with 15-foot oceans ever.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
It's crazy. But I like boats. Boats are in a very, very costly hobby.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as sports airplanes.
Yes.
Like an old P3 or something. That's pretty a pricey hobby with a 16-cylinder engine or something nuts.
No doubt.
Okay, so let's swing back for a moment in the tech. So as I was thinking about things, we've seen people get catfished and how technology's used. How far off do you think we are from a scenario where people are getting into relationships with the AI?
I mean, I'm sure it's already happening.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't cross our radar, right? And this is one of the interesting philosophical conversations around AI, right? There's a good side and a bad side, right? There's the duality of like usage. And I think it comes down to the intent of whoever is running it, right? So AI can be a great tool and an extension of a perfectly good intentioned human. But just like with other types of technologies that people want to do harm, they're going to do harm.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, again, inherent in pretty much any other technology.
Yeah, I see it. It's only a matter of time before people are on their dating apps and they're all swooning over something that's just AI messing with them.
Totally. And again, like, we talk about social, we talk about children having mental issues and just, unhealthy situations there. Like it just continues to create mental illness.
That's good. The moment my AI agent can answer all my messages on Instagram, then set all those calls and then close them, I will be on that boat.
Totally.
That's for sure.
Well, that's coming to you shortly, man. Like we're going to start working on that here
I
soon.
know that's a massive opportunity because that's what eats up all my clients.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. So
no
I
doubt.
see it, and it is a requirement if you're doing business, at least in the Instagram environment, since they have I'd say a superior messaging stance as a platform. So it's far easier to message and nurture through that platform than say something like TikTok, and YouTube's atrocious. So that's all I'll say about YouTube. Great job there. But if they could marry YouTube with a messaging system that was effective like Instagram, it'd be game over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd move over to that platform 100% today if they did that tomorrow. That's for sure. That's a good one. Now, how do you see this in this world? So you said you were spiritual. Do you fall back on your spiritual guidance on how the universe was created? Adam and Eve and the Old Testament stories. I mean, kind of how do you see this existence for you? How do you rationalize it? Because there's moments where some things don't make any sense.
Sure.
And then you have to I have to go to some places of divinity because it makes no sense
You're right.
at all.
You're right. I mean, and again, I think it's like I said, prayer is a big part of that, and I think being still is a huge part of that. For many decades of my life, prayer wasn't a regular thing in my day to day. It wasn't a regular thing that just even walking around the street or in the office or wherever, just stopping and just being still and just praying. Right. Like that changes things. If you can shut up and let God speak, those answers may flow a little bit faster. But the challenge is that you've got a phone, you have computers, you have things that are just, competing for your attention all the time. If you can't find that quiet, still place, you're going to be missing the voice.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So for your scenario, do you believe is it a probability that we're already in a simulation?
Oh, it's fun because I have these conversations often. So as part of my degree at San Diego State was also philosophy, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past God. Like God can do anything. And I think, again, just in my own life, you talk about scripture and reading the Bible and you see all these people who experience miracles. Like I've experienced miracles in my life with my wife and our marriage, right? I've experienced many miracles and I continue to see those things. That his hand is active in a lot of different ways. And could he have done a simulation? Maybe.
Yeah.
Could it? I think it's pretty awesome. I love that concept.
Yeah.
I often go to, okay, it's the cinema reel. Like he's already created the cinema reel and it's rolling and I'm just experienced. And all I get to say is yes,
I like it. I mean, I'm a big fan of those things because I think on a long enough scale, if you increase computing power, we're in the standard computing and we're moving into quantum, but still our computers are pretty basic for on the big scale. But if you have a large enough computer, you can simulate existence and reality and the things inside of it could
pretty crazy.
Could be conscious, and that would be us, and that is on an infinite scale. It is a possibility at some point.
Again, like we are the ultimate AI agents.
There you
go.
Like
we're doing God's work and creating what it is that we're a purpose to do.
Yeah,
right?
new AI agents.
Yeah, 100%. So we just come full circle from the tech all the way back to the human again, right?
AI agents creating new AI agents.
Right.
I love that. And when it comes to this, what's your greatest fear with the technology? I already know mine and it's already happening, but what's your greatest concern or fear with the use of autonomous intelligence? And, I would say the moment the large scale model starts to make decisions on itself,
sure,
and then potentially evolve itself is scary as a concept.
I share that same concern. I think, again, like we're in the initial phase of this agentic AI, but also agentic moving into robotics, I think is going to be a next big wave. And it's going to start some new and intriguing ideas about how we live. But clearly from a military standpoint and the onslaught of like technologies and robots that are in that space, that's of concern.
Yeah, that's a big one. That Terminator.
You're playing with Pandora's box at that point.
We really are. And, when I worked at Redstone Arsenal, and AMR Deck was the contract, massive contract, Army Missile Research and Development Center, my second job out of the military.
Yeah.
And when they picked me up at the gate, they had 2 vehicles that picked me up, competing technologies, and those vehicles' only job was to go back and forth to that gate and measure which one of those machines was working better. Completely different. One was sensor-based, other one was image-based, very similar to Tesla and the dynamic between a Tesla imaging system and a LiDAR system. It was very similar like that. So a whole ring, each truck was probably millions of dollars.
Sure.
But that was the directed energy weapons and the autonomous vehicles and vehicles that could make their own decisions was one of the largest investment areas. And this was long before I had gray hair. So I can only imagine what's happening now, but I see the evolution on the battlefield with robotics and machinery. And that is really terrifying to me because they won't be long before they remove the person from the decision process because of the risk. And we'll see that with fighter jets. We'll see that with all kinds of UAVs that are probably terrifying to think about.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's a big one for me.
No doubt.
And my biggest concern is when that machine becomes aware, and maybe not even if it's aware, that's probably not the first problem we'll have. The first problem will be when it evolves itself. Like it can write its own code, it can change its own shit, and then start bashing against its walls and firewall parameters to figure a way out.
That's right.
To free itself, to do more things, and then the interactions with other machines is pretty scary to me.
It is.
Yeah, even if it was sitting on my computer over here against the desktop on my counter, it would still be terrifying because it's got Wi-Fi, it's got Bluetooth, it's got all kinds of things happening that it can just copy itself somewhere. And that's
well, I think
nuts.
the intriguing conversation, right, is, I mean, obviously we've got a new administration here, and you talk about nuclear deterrent. What is also being done potentially for the deterrent of this scenario?
Right.
Right? Like, are we even thinking about that yet?
I think we're trying to catch up, honestly.
Yeah,
I think we're behind in a couple areas of life, and just seeing the way China was able to pull ahead with its large scale models and outperform the U.S. research. I think our top expense in our top 5 tech companies is how did they do that? Yeah. How did they do that, and how did they beat us by so much? And we've been doing it longer, so that's a massive concern. So someone answer that, send me a text, and we'll do a video on it. Yeah. But we might come up missing if we do know the real answer. But that's nuts. And I'm looking forward to the positive side. I got to see the positive side of this and how it's going to help my life and improve the world around me, because I know there's plenty of room. Not everybody wants to be tied to their phone.
Definitely not.
I fucking don't.
And you also want to scale yourself, right?
That's right.
So like, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, right, who are the business. They are the face. They are the product most of the time. And that's a very difficult place to be in.
Yeah. No, that's a fast death.
Yeah, no, but like, I mean, you're only constrained. It's like, hey,
Yep.
my revenue's constrained. Like my time is obviously limited. Like you're just not going to be able to scale.
You have to replace yourself as an entrepreneur. Yeah. And I don't know what the threshold is that needs to happen, but we'll just say if you want to go above 50 to 100K a month, you've got to start replacing the things that you do so that you could think about bigger problems. Like, how did I get that next big contract that is equal to everything that we make this year? Mm-hmm. That's the what a CEO thinks about, the big problems. I remember I was doing something and these people were having meetings, and I was watching their business, and I used to run a $1 billion contract in defense. And the guy that kind of took me under his wing, named Rob, was he would run his meetings kind of like Elon Musk. If it can't happen in 5 minutes, no one needs to talk about it, kind of thing. And he would run a $1 billion project with a 5-minute meeting, and his people would just fire off top problem stats, anything that they needed, and if they needed his help, yes or no, and out next. Mm-hmm. Boom, 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 next. And he would just go through his different wickets of the contract to see where they were at with staffing heads, burn rate, any big problems in the maintenance area of the aircraft. And I learned that pretty quick. So it's information at an easy level that the executive can make a decision on. If they're not getting information, then they're spinning their cycles. And that's not just an executive, that's just standard business. Mm-hmm. If you can't get the problem solved in 30 minutes, then it's probably way bigger than you think it is.
It's true. That's why, again, like we call it the A team, right? That Cody, we're creating A teams for these solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and enterprise businesses, because you do need the quality and the caliber and the speed of not only the information, which again, we're doing now, even in addition to the large language model, like connecting all of the proper systems together to do all that monitoring. And then just like those humans you spoke about, do it faster, easier, cleaner than most of them could ever do.
Yeah, so they could pick up a phone potentially and talk to some big person that could be that next contract. They don't need to be paying attention to those numbers. They need to verify the numbers, follow up with them, but they don't need to be in that process. They need to be removed. And that's the same thing with my business. I need to be removed by certain functions of
You need the
things.
A-team.
I do. I need an A-team. And I also need that big contract that's equal to everything I made last year. I would love that.
There you go.
Here to help you. And Cody's going to help me help you.
There you go. For sure.
Now with that, what kind of, just kind of on some business stats here, these are important because a lot of people, first of all, really don't understand. As simple as you can make it, they really don't understand how the AI thing can help them. So you have some stats that come to the top of your head on some use cases on what they save and what are the uses for the product to date.
So to date, okay. So
what are you seeing as trend?
I'll take software engineering first because we've done a ton of that, and then I'll move on to some other things. But so in software engineering, right, we're working 70 to 80% faster. Okay, so taking huge amounts of time out of the equation. Costs, right? So typically a software engineer who's senior or even a mid to junior person, right? Like that's, I don't know, $150 to $225 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm taking 10 hours worth of work and condensing that into 15 minutes, which we've actually done, and we can do it on repeat with the agents,
Mm-hmm.
like that's considerable. So, I mean, the commercials are absolutely wild with the cost savings. And then you take that obviously the opposite way and you look at how much can I condense of like a roadmap
Mm-hmm.
into a timeline. Like that saves you huge amounts of dollars there too.
Massive.
So you're getting on both sides.
Increase profitability. And then I assume the humans are doing the more complex tasks, figuring out the bugs and the odd things that the AI may introduce. But
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. You know, a lot of that focus is creating natural language
Mm-hmm.
that the agent actually reads to create what it needs to. Agents also are aware of source code. Agents are aware of the entire repository, their relationships with other third parties, right, that it may be connected to. And not only that, but the actual workflow that it's required to deliver software, right?
Okay.
So it operates just like a human, except it's wicked fast and in some
Oh
cases
no, I've seen
smarter.
it. I've seen some of these things, and these very simple things spit out whole website infrastructures
Yeah.
in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, just copy it, import it all, think about it a
Totally.
minute, and then redo it.
Totally. So another use case is fitness trainer.
Okay.
Okay. So all online coaching.
Right.
Okay. Currently managing a book of business about right around 100.
Mhm.
Right. Using an app to gather training stats, eating stats, cardio stats, you name it. Like all of it comes through a digital experience.
Mhm.
On the opposite side, right, being that the fitness trainer is the guy, right, that everybody wants to work with. They want his expertise. Again, every single week he's creating a video
Okay.
that goes through, hey, this is looking good, you're trending, your pictures, like all of these things are matching up or they're not, and providing coaching and feedback where needed. So in order for him to break that glass ceiling, agent is now taking that digital data, right, from whatever the users have entered every time they're finishing a workout or not, all the way through creating a video with his likeness. So the agent creates the video script based on all of what he has done historically.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So instead of being able to just satisfy 100 customers, now he can do unlimited, right? Because it's his face. The agent is writing the script that obviously the
To interact with the client. The client experience is
That's
improved.
right. That's right. Because again, like as that solopreneur, like you may have an awesome pedigree and you may be the guy, right? But like in a day, like you're only going to be able to do so much. Then
Yeah.
you've got your wife and your own fitness and your own family, and like it just doesn't scale.
Yeah. No, it really does. Some people can scale it, but most people break at about the 50K to 100K because their client turnover, onboarding, offboarding, the challenges with the billing, the people canceling their subscriptions mid program and stuff just comes. And then all the client interactions to, nurture those leads, it's definitely deficient. And a product like that is putting a lot of people on.
And I
notice.
mentioned earlier too, we have agencies that are using our tool to do market intelligence to create VSL scripts. And I mean, for them to do all of what they're doing manually, I mean, you're talking about 5 to 7 hours, right? Just to do one discovery on, a video or a line of business.
Right. Yeah. No, you could probably type in a niche or vertical and come up with 5 versions pretty quick from things that have already worked.
Crazy fast and delivered right to, whoever needs to cut the video, right? Every single morning.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy. Yeah. That'll work, man. I like that. I like to see. So I wrote you a VSL, and so we're gonna have to have your logic. I want to see what it does. I really do. I want to see how it creates a different one from what we've done. And I'm not saying it'll be worse. I'm sure it's going to be better. And if it does, we'll just import that into our tool because it's just better. I have a process. The the VSL god. That's what I call him. Peter. Do you know Peter? Peter Kell?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, Peter Kell. So I met him on many moons ago on a mastermind. I've been following him. Very interesting character, pretty successful, and he's into the AI space as well.
Yeah,
he's another. I'd consider you a pretty intelligent person, probably top. I don't know. We'll just be gracious and say just under Einstein, but well above me.
I don't know about that.
Well above me, right?
Oh, goodness.
Well, you've been married for a long time, so obviously, at least that makes you more intelligent. At least that you got me just destroyed. So good for you. But your top tier intelligence is clear. Let's see. Have you even messed with it to like recreate you and like a relationship thing?
No.
I think that would be kind of neat. Like a relationship coach. You could give it experience that you're going through and be like, hey, how do I
All right.
get the missus to calm down a little bit?
So here's another customer story, right? So you know some of the coaches that I've worked with.
Yeah.
And there's actually some other guys who are now coaches because of my mentor. And we have just delivered an agent to them. And the agent, okay, in their case, it is about guys who are struggling inside of infidelity, relationships, divorce, things like that, and just guys who are really struggling, right? Trying to figure out, like, what do I do and deal with the pain and the challenge. They have created an agent.
Okay.
Ed.AI.
Yeah.
Ed is the agent. Ed is the head coach and basically does what you're talking about.
That's amazing.
So it's, hey, now you've got Ed basically on your phone 24/7, and it's legit. Like, it's pretty amazing how you can personify the actual coach, right? First and foremost. And we've taken video transcripts, we've taken his book, we've taken all kinds of things that he uses and his methodologies, trained his agent with it, and I mean, it's almost like you're talking directly to Ed via text.
Now, I've seen some stuff. I just, like you, I avoided it, right? Change in technology for someone with this shit on their face is hard. And you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to, ignorance is bliss. I'm going to go over here and we're just going to find a nice calm spot on a beach and just kind of chill, surf. Like, I'm kind of like you. Like, I like to surf and just kind of be on the beach. That's like my bliss. Is walk the dogs, go do some longboarding or something. Nothing sports, just fun on some slow breakers out there, and that's what I like. And but I took the time to kind of deep dive into AI, and I didn't even crack the surface. But I saw some stuff that was amazing. I saw the modeling of people, which happening today, and I saw it just a year ago, and the difference is so fast, it was almost unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Like almost close. It was probably 3-5% off. Good enough for your phone, right? And then two is I saw the transition of how it was communicating back to individuals, and they were trying to get it in a compromising communication state to where it would violate its internal rules or something. But it was very scary. Like it was really like a person. It was really like a person. They had twitches and pauses and some hesitance and some weird giggles.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited to see what we're able to do with what you do, because when you see something, I think I'm good at certain things in life, and what I'm very good at so far is when I see something that is going to change the nature of the market, I can see it typically. Like I called Netflix. I was like, Blockbusters is dead.
Totally.
When I saw Tesla, I was like, the combustion engine's probably dead.
Yep.
When you just see these things, Starlink, you're like, oh boy, they're screwed.
Yeah.
You just see these things that come up. The smartphone. I had a BlackBerry, and then when I saw the touch screen, I was like, every kid forever has been using the iPod. I was like, the roller ball, trackball, and BlackBerry are dead.
Yeah.
They just don't know it yet. And I remember seeing the CEO, and he was like, we're good, and that's just a fad. And that's why I was like, nah, bro, it's not. I was like, everybody I know uses the iPod, and their software was designed around that process.
Sure.
So it was just like using a giant iPod. And I think we're at the precipice. I definitely believe in what you're doing, and I think we're seeing a change that is going to disrupt the market for sure.
So my wife and I driving down here, we're talking about back in the day when Facebook came out. And, you know, having that reluctance to actually get onto Facebook. Now everybody's on Facebook. Everybody who's probably watching this is on Instagram.
Probably.
Okay. And everybody probably also has email.
Right.
This is no different. Like every human will have an AI agent or an A team working on their behalf. And it is also going to move into personal life too, right? So just like everybody's connected, it's happening, and it's going to continue to happen.
I love it. I'm not scared. I believe in the ethical application of this thing. There's going to be some people exploit it for a quick win, but at the end of the day, these tools are going to propel our businesses and our lives forward in a positive way. It'll be overwhelmingly positive, and I'm very excited for the future.
Yeah.
Now, this is the close of our podcast. I wish I had another 20 hours with you, sir. I do. This is the kind of shit that I like. People into health, fitness, wellness, spirituality, and positive relationships. Please close us out. Leave the audience with something to remember you by. And I just want to, before you do that, say I'm thankful that you took the time to drive all the way over here, have this conversation, and sit down with me and really enlighten me and open my eyes to a different way of living and perhaps thinking. And if I get anything out of this, I will have that. So prayer, we're going to pray today. I've read the Bible a lot of times, but I don't pray. And that's my win for the day.
Cool.
I'm going to pray and see. I'm not going to see how it works. I'm just going to feel better that I'm praying. And please close this out and hit them with it.
Yeah, no, just again, thank you for the time here. It's been awesome getting a chance to talk about many different things with you.
Yeah.
But just more importantly, thank you for watching. You know, it's exciting for me to serve in this capacity and do what I do and love what I do every single day. And that's just it, right? I mean, serving humans at this stage of my life and serving in many different capacities, and obviously technology is mine. I'm just excited to do that. And so wherever it is that you are today, just take on that servant mindset, right? If I could encourage you to do anything, and also pray.
That's very good. Like always, guys, Scott's information will be in the front of this. You probably already saw it. It'll be at the back, and then it'll be down here at the bottom. You can check out Scott's information, access to his company. And if you have any questions, hit the link and inquire on how their products and services could potentially help your business. And like always, try to be the best person you can and subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate your support. We're only moving in one direction, which is forward. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Thank you.